1.
And here we are. This is the Senate Reapportionment Committee. It is Monday, March 14th. And I think I forgot to announce this on the floor on Friday, but it would have been wrong anyway, because I would have said 10 o'clock and it actually ended up. So thanks to everyone for kind of scrambling to reset this from 10 to this afternoon at 4. I think it worked out better for everybody. I know we have at least 4 people have a hard stop at 5:30. So I guess we should just get going. So here, I've been thinking a lot about this over the weekend, and think that a way to because we're getting pretty close, both in terms of time, and also just where we need to be. So what I was thinking that we would do is do like we do in our committee, and Allison will understand this, and Brian will, but the rest of you won't, is we look at one thing and make a check by it. Yes, everybody's okay with that unless something blows up. And then go on to the next one. Yes, we're okay with that unless something blows up. So and then we get down to only those places where we really have to have some conversation. So if that makes sense, what I'm going to do is, does anybody have a problem doing it that way?
No.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the bottom, and short of something else happening or of us accepting Tom Little's map of one general Senate district with 30 senators at large elected, unless we go there or something else major happens. Let's see if we're okay with this. Windham County, everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Oh, which map are you using to start with?
Well, they're kind of, for the bottom ones, they're kind of all the same, so it doesn't make too much difference. I'm looking right now at the draft 310 with the authors Brock, Collmore, and Starr.
Okay.
But I think for the last 3 or 4 maps, they've all been pretty much the same.
That
So
one is
Windham,
exactly the same, yes.
Yep.
Yep.
Windham County.
Yep.
Okay, everybody
Fine
okay
with
with that?
Yep.
Okay.
I
Bennington.
am okay, but would you give me a second to find that map so that I'm
and I think
swimming in paper
you
here.
can
Okay.
also look at the March 8th draft with Clarkson, Pearson, and Perchlik, and I think the bottom ones are all the same. So,
But we better all work off the same date.
There's 2 maps with the same date, 310.
Right.
Yeah.
There's one of them that's Clarkson, Pearson, and Perchlik. One of them is Brock, Collmore, and Starr.
Right.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
let's start by looking, for right now, let's start by looking at the Brock, Collmore, Starr.
Okay.
Okay, so Windham, we're all okay with Windham.
Madam Chair, Nick was maybe trying to ask something.
Oh, Nick.
thank you, Senator Pearson. Madam Chair, I was just going to suggest I'm able to pull all these up on Maptitude if you'd like me to do so.
Well,
It's entirely up to everybody. Until we get to places where we need to start talking about where we're going, that I think we all have our hard copies of these right now. Okay. So Bennington, everybody okay with Bennington?
yes.
Yeah.
Rutland?
The only difference between the two, and it's not a big deal breaker for me, is Pittsfield in one map goes to Windsor and in the other remains in Rutland. The map that I have that says draft 310 2022, Senators Clarkson, Pearson, and Perchlik has Pittsfield moved over into Windsor. Is
Okay,
that critical for people?
No, I think we could let you have that one.
Well, I think Allison made good points actually about the school system and the natural affinity of that sort of those 4 towns together. So I'm not going to battle to keep it.
Right.
So it doesn't, that would put Rutland at 6.59. if we moved it out
That's
of there.
correct. That is
Okay.
correct.
So let's move it
Lowers
out
the
of there for
deviation
now.
by keeping it the way it is in the map
Minus-
that we're working on.
Minus 581.
But
Yeah, what?
Okay. Pittsfield,
Andy, did you?
There it is.
I was just gonna say, the only thing about that corner is, yeah, if we're, is the, which it gets into the next county, but Rochester, I'm just bringing it up that people have asked me to move Rochester into Addison County if we're talking about the corner, but I'm okay with the map as is, and with Colomar's suggestion of moving Pittsfield into Windsor.
okay, moving Pittsfield into Windsor.
For the moment.
Okay. To Windsor, okay. Okay. Addison,
I think Addison's fine.
Tom
And
Little
that-
has a hand up.
both maps, I believe, have Braintree and Addison.
And the Huntington and Buell's
The old
Gore.
score.
Yeah,
Yeah, they both do. They both have
Yep,
the
they
same
both-
deviation.
they both do. Are we okay with Addison then?
Yeah.
Andy?
Yes.
I just want to say that I've been asked to move Braintree not into Addison, because you can't get there from there, but I'm just saying that to let people know that's the complaint about that, but I'm okay with that map, because it's hard to do other things with it, so.
I think we've all heard that and
And this-
I mean,
Mr. Little has his
it's
yellow
a-
hand up.
It is
Yeah,
a
I-
town that no one can get to easily except Orange County.
okay. Tom, did you have a comment?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I just want to violate one of the cardinal rules of not going backwards, but I did over the weekend take a look at something based upon one of your comments that I think you made somewhat wistfully about Wilmington. And I think if you were to move Wilmington into Wyndham, Madam Chair, you would get a Bennington deviation of minus 7.37 and a Wyndham of plus 1.56. So that would, depending upon your deviation tolerance, that would it'd be about a seven and a third minus for Bennington by moving Wilmington back to Wyndham, and Wyndham would be at about 1.5. So just FYI.
Yep. I think that at this point, because 7, that gets a little bit high, and depending on what happens in other parts of the state.
Yeah.
My preference, and I don't know about other people, is to keep these as low as possible so that we can allow for more fluctuation in the upper part of the state.
Yep.
Is that? So I'm actually fine leaving Wilmington and Bennington.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
we decided. Yeah.
Okay, so Addison, we're pretty set with Addison and leaving Braintree there, although some people don't
I
want. it.
mean, I think we all think it stinks, but there's not a better solution.
Okay.
right?
Okay,
Yeah.
well, it's a stinky map. What can I say? Okay, so Addison. So then let's look at on the Rock Column or Star map, let's look at Orange or Windsor. Windsor,
Have you done
No.
Windsor yet?
Windsor. I said Orange, but I meant Windsor.
Okay.
Well, they are
So,
in it.
yeah. None of you will be surprised to hear that I have a real problem with this proposal for bunches of reasons. But
Okay,
those,
I'm gonna-
neither of those towns fit easily into Windsor County world. I mean, they're very orange centered. As you know, I'm willing. It will be hard to look at Thetford, but to have both of them, I think is really not tenable for us.
okay, I'm gonna
I think
put
that is tough.
I'm gonna put a flag on Windsor then. Okay,
On Upper Windsor.
yep, I'm gonna put a
opposed to
flag.
Lower Windsor.
I'm going to put a flag on Upper Windsor. And now I think what I'm going to do is jump to instead of just now slowly moving up, we're getting into the area where we need to do some hard thinking. And I'm going to move up to Bobby's favorite topic, Stowe. And on both of these maps, I believe Stowe has been put into Washington County. Am I right about that?
Yes,
Yes.
So so that we don't talk about Stowe all day again. I'm going to suggest that Stowe might be very happy in Washington County. Andy, I saw you had your hand up.
I'd
Yeah.
agree with that.
So yeah, we came up with that map of Stowe in Washington County. I'm still not excited about it, but I think as long it worked as part of a larger map. And I think that's what you're doing here, Chair, is identifying flag areas. Like I'm okay with that. It can work. Talk to the other Washington County delegation, talk to the Lamoille County delegation, including some reps in the two areas. And I think that it works, but it really only works for us if the rest, depending on what happens in Lamoille County and Caledonia County,
Okay.
also kind of has to work.
Yep. But for now, we'll assume that we're going to leave Stowe. And I don't know if everybody got the email from Linda Martin, who's the town clerk or was the town clerk in Walcott, who talked about Stowe not being being the yes. What,
Yeah, we
Alice?
all got it.
Okay, because I think that, so for people who might be listening, her comment was that Stowe is an economic driver in Lamoille County. That's true, but that it really isn't the heart of Lamoille County, that Morrisville is the heart of Lamoille County, and Stowe is the heart of the tourist industry in Lamoille County, but it isn't where the people from Lamoille County think of as their heart and soul. So I think we all saw that, and that makes a lot of sense to me, the difference between being a major economic driver and being the heart of the county. So, Chris?
I guess I wanted to just check in to make sure I heard what Senator Perchlik said.
Mm-hmm.
And Andy, were you saying yes with a little asterisk, and that asterisk is depending on what else we do to the Washington district? Is that I'm trying to understand where you come from.
Yeah, basically, but I don't want to make it just about that district. But it was kind of like we worked on a map, like how could I live with this a map that where Stowe was in the Washington district, and I can do that if we're doing other things to that district in Caledonia and Lamoille district. But I don't want to. What I'm bringing it up just because I don't want in the future somebody to like add Hardwick to Washington and put some other things, I don't know, Williamstown and Elmore in, and then say, oh, but you already agreed to Stowe, so now it's just about, well, they're Williamstown is like, well, no, they all flow together. So that's the only reason I bring up my consideration about Stowe.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Thank you. That does help me.
Yeah. How would you be upset if we put Troy in Washington County?
I'd love
comes
to
with
be,
the senator.
I'd love to be in Washington County.
Be shorter drive.
I think you just want the lake. You want that piece of Lake Memphremagog so you can talk about that fabulous with that great word.
Won't need it. Have Elmore, wouldn't I? Oh no, Richie's got Elmore.
Yeah.
Or Richie
All
doesn't.
right.
The Lamoille County, the Lamoille district has it.
Yeah, we can't talk about counties, but we're really talking about districts. So we should, Allison and Andy, thank you for that reminder that we shouldn't be talking about Washington County. We should be talking about Washington District.
So
Yes. So for now, we'll say that Stowe lives in Washington District, depending on what happens with the rest of the area up there. So do we want then to look at Washington? Would
Yeah.
that be the next thing we should look at here? Washington County, Washington District? Sorry.
Can I say a couple of words?
Yeah, depending on how many.
Okay, that's two. Hey,
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was wondering, from, chatting with Jane for a few minutes. She was kind of wondering if there was some way we could move Walden and Hardwick into her district, which she has now. And she works a lot with the Hardwick people with their ag rehabilitating and all that, and very involved. And she would like to be able to keep those two towns in her district. And I fooled with the map a little bit, and if we did that, we would have to move Groton and Peacham over to Andy. And I didn't know how Andy would deal, if that would work with Washington County or not. But I'd like to, Jane never seems to ask for a whole lot and is a pretty influential person in our Senate. And I'd kind of like to help her if she would like Hardwick and Walden. I'd like to try to figure out a way to accommodate that.
Yep. Andy, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, if you look at that 310 map that Pearson, Clarkson, and Perchlik worked on with the Caledonia district, it does keep Hardwick and Walden in that district. It does, the change from the other map is Linden. I think that's the only difference is between the two maps. One has Linden and the other one has Hardwick and Walden in it. And I talked to Jane or Senator Kitchell as well. And that was one of my kind of points with Stowe is doing it this way. Let's Caledonia be this map on ours where Hardwick and Walden are in there. Peacham, I think, very much is kind of connected to the St. J area. I mean, I don't think they're good fits into Washington County, and it's kind of like they're you can get there obviously, but it's through the Groton Forest Road. I mean, so I guess I haven't thought about that before, and but I liked the map with them in Caledonia County.
Waterford is another town, Andy, that was different on the two maps.
Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah, right.
And Wheelock also.
Oh, yeah, one has Waterford, one has Wheelock and Standard. Yeah, that's the other change, those two.
It does. I always think of Peacham really as being very connected to Danville and that area, not to Washington County.
they are, those are connected, very, very tightly connected communities.
Chris?
So I think some of you know I have a spreadsheet since I don't have the mapping software, and I want to just verify what I'm hearing Senator Starr say. So are you saying these aren't in order, but Barnett, Danville, Linden, Reigate, St. J, Stannard, Walden, Newbury, Bradford. Is that what you're proposing?
You mean for Caledonia? It would be Newbury, Reigate, the town above Reigate,
Barnet.
Hold on. What's
Barnet, Barnet.
Barnet? Yeah.
Danville, and Linden. And I don't know about Waterford. If I don't think you'd have to put Waterford in.
No, I didn't say it. So it's we don't have this map, but my point is those towns, Barnet, Danville, Linden, Reigate, St. J, Stannard, Walden, Newbury, Bradford. Although Bradford, no, I take that back. Maybe that's the problem because it's way over.
Bradford,
Okay.
Bradford needs to be in orange for those numbers
Yeah,
to work.
yeah, that's true. Okay, that's better. I'm glad I clarified because that I'm not saying I like it or anything, but that is at least bring it in to range. But
So
God, that's a funny looking district.
if
Well,
you,
we'd have to let, I think this is a flag for the
Yeah.
chair, if that's what we're doing. But
Yeah.
if we want to work on it, I would want to have Nick bring it up so we can look at the numbers.
yeah, because I think that if you look at the two maps, the biggest the trouble spot here seems to be Linden is kind of because that's a big one. And so if whatever you do with that, it's going to impact the others. So we'll put a flag on Linden, kind of this Caledonia County. So which then impacts Essex Orange. Also, I mean, Essex Orleans.
The only difference, am I right,
Mhm.
is well,
Linden and
Linden
Walden.
and
Linden,
Wheelock.
Wheelock. It's the
And,
Linden.
and
it's-
Stannard, I think, is that little
Yeah.
slicey one.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah, it is. There are about 80 people.
yeah. But other than that little kind of trouble area right there, Essex Orleans looks pretty good.
Also Craftsbury was
Yeah,
Craftsbury
Craftsbury,
as a
Gotta be in.
Lamoille County, as a Lamoille District corner.
yeah, and it should be in Orleans County.
Or Caledonia,
Or Lamoille.
or Essex. Okay, which one? Craftsbury.
it's
Craftsbury
just north
right
of
above-
Wolcott.
Yeah,
Right
yeah,
above
I got
Wolcott.
it.
Yeah, and everything goes north from Craftsbury and everything goes south from Wilcott.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see.
They don't go east and
Got
west.
it. Got it. Yeah, it should be. Okay. So you think Craftsbury should be in Essex Orleans? Okay.
Yeah.
Which means then Lamoille needs a little bit more. Okay. But okay, where do you want to go next? People, do you want to jump over to keep looking at Washington, this kind of middle
So
east area, or
You want
move
to
up to Franklin and look up there, or move over west? Where do you want to go next? What's your pleasure?
Let's
Franklin,
tackle Orange.
Huh?
Let's tackle Orange.
Brian wants to go from the pan right into the fire.
So on the two maps, the two differences on Orange are Orange and Stratford,
Correct.
right?
Yep.
Those are the two differences.
And I made the case, and I don't know how important it is, but Stratford and Thetford do share house districts. And I don't know why, but I just really feel strongly that Orange should be in Orange.
It hasn't been there for probably two
While.
cycles, I think.
At
Well,
least,
one anyway.
no, at least 2 and possibly 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's 30 years that's been there.
All right.
I actually have not heard one peep from anybody who lives in Orange.
No, me either.
I mean, it
Not
does,
represented in the legislature. Why?
what?
They're not represented in the legislature. That's why.
So I prefer our map.
Well,
And
obviously,
and this one.
Well,
would you consider
Hey,
adding Stratford to Windsor County and just leaving Orange where it is? Because Windsor is
that's what you
still
just said.
shy. Windsor is still shy, people, and Orange is over.
I think on our map, it ends up being pretty nicely balanced. 2.42 for Orange and 5.09 for Windsor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
looks like it. The deviations are good, so.
But again, with Stratford, you've got 1,000 people. If you move that into the Windsor district, your deviation will drop from 5.09. And Orange, which is over by 2.5, will probably drop to near 0.
Yeah, I mean,
Just saying.
yeah.
Stratford and Thetford do have a lot that they share in common, don't they?
Yeah, they have house districts that are similar.
It's a big enough challenge for Windsor to be even looking at Thetford. The thought of taking both those is like, is a challenge.
Why is it challenging? The distance?
They really skew to Orange. I mean, I'm not sure. I know we don't necessarily want to talk about where people want to be because we've all heard from different people about different things, but Stratford and Thetford are very Orange County based towns. Take both of them is really, I think, tough. And it's not like they haven't been in Orange District for a long, long time. This is a big shift. This is a big shift for our neck of the woods. Our reps for that district represent 4 towns and they've been divided. They're used to it being divided, but I think it's a challenge to take both of those out of Orange.
So so we've got it right now so that Orange is part of Washington, right?
Yeah.
Depends on which map, but I think there is,
On your map.
yeah.
Yeah.
there's a
Sorry,
connection to-
Andy?
There is a
what-
connection to Orange and Berry Town. Is one reason why I thought that was okay to add
Yeah.
it to that area.
They're pretty close, aren't they? I mean, if you drive down through
Yeah.
Washington.
Yeah, they're more bonded as a community, as a commuting community.
To Orange and Berry.
Orange and Berry, that
Yeah,
sort of
very
straight
cool.
line, Orange, Berry, Berlin.
Oh, yeah.
I guess we could just flag it.
Okay. I'm getting too many flags.
No.
Okay,
You're only allowed 3 on your poll, right?
No, it's 4.
Oh, you can get 4.
That's a good one, Bobby.
Okay.
good point, Bobby.
And that bill
Okay.
hasn't even come up on the floor yet.
No, it will on Thursday.
Okay, so what's the next least troublesome? Lamoille, maybe?
Well, did
Well,
we
if-
finish on Caledonia?
No, I
Oh,
don't think
no,
we did. I
no.
think
Got the flag on
we
Linden.
put a flag on Caledonia.
Yeah, Linden is the issue.
Yeah, I think Linden is the issue.
Because
And
big
is it
towns
that-
have these single seats, you know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, it would have less of an impact on a 2-seat.
Yeah.
Putting it into a 1-seat, it has a huge impact, but leaving it in a 2-seat, it has much less of an impact.
Yeah, that 1,500 for a one-person district, a 1,500 people just make a huge difference. I mean, it's just astonishing to see how much difference.
Oh,
Relatively.
Linden
small-
is way over 1,500. Linden is
What?
5,000.
No, no, I
54.
don't mean, I just mean generally, as we're talking about impacts on the differences between 1 and 2-person districts.
Right.
So Bobby, you were saying that Senator Kitchell was desirous of moving Walden and Hardwick back into Caledonia.
Walden and Hardwick, yeah.
So that
See-
is going to be 3,800 people. So that's really going to jump that 2.68 up if we leave Linden
Well,
in.
Well, and if we add Wheelock and Waterford, if you look at the 310 map,
Yeah.
that gets her to 5.57.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
But that's why you can leave Linden in that district as well and, and still leave the others alone.
Oh, no, if you left Hardwick
Linden
and
skews it big time.
there and put Linden in, it would put it would put Caledonia at about 12 or 14
Yep.
deviation. We can't go
Right.
that high. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
right.
suggest that we
Shift west.
look at the Caledonia map as it is on the Clarkson Pearson Perchlick map.
Yep.
And see what the issues would be there besides Linden. Because
I think
that
that's
would
the
be
only one.
Peachum and Groton, huh?
Yeah, that's the only issue I can see with it.
Other than that, it seems to me that kind of that district is pretty,
It works well.
How
With
many people are in standard? Is it only like,
tiny, I've got the town
I
map.
think it's 200. I think it's around 200.
Standard is 208. You are right, Brian. You are,
right? So it's
Yeah.
a little bit, the trade with Waterford is pretty close, but it's about, 300 off, I guess.
Yeah.
That's the other difference between one of the other differences of the map.
Yeah, because you gain,
why is it not, why is the Caledonia map on the Clarkson Pearson Perchlick map acceptable by leaving Linden in Essex Orleans? I guess
Because-
that's my question.
everything in Lindenville funnels toward St. J. They're hooked right together. It's where the hospital is in between the two communities. They have a lot in common and everything moves south from Lindenville. Nothing in Lindenville moves north that I know of. And I've lived up here, the car dealerships are all along the road, Route 5 between Linden and St. J. And there's just a lot of commerce that all runs together there.
That's the big difference between a 2-member and a 1-member district.
Yeah.
If you stuck Linden back in, it'd be probably a perfect 2-person district, but
well, it was. I mean,
Yeah, I
that
know.
was, Joe and Jane.
Yeah.
That there is the challenge.
Well, we could always take a whole bunch of stuff from Essex and make Caledonia Essex a 2-member district and leave Orleans one member.
Yep, we could,
If the numbers shake out, I mean, it's up to you guys. I just felt that Orleans and Essex County have been together since reapportionment, and the numbers don't grow, so we don't keep up with the numbers, but
I think the affinity of the communities is greater between Essex and Orleans, though, until you move south into, say, the Linden St. Johnsbury area.
yeah, they're spread out, yeah. You know, there's a lot of miles between towns up there and up in the upper Northeast Kingdom.
Well, I don't know much about how commerce flows between Linden and St. Johnsbury. I do know that having had a daughter who went to Linden State College, they never went to St. Johnsbury. They always went to Burke or Canada or Littleton, New Hampshire. They never went to St. Johnsbury, but
Well, I can see why I can tell you why your daughter went to Canada.
yeah, we know,
And I
Bobby.
guess she went to Burke to ski, but I don't understand why she never went to St. J.
She said there was nothing there.
Didn't buy a
Or-
car.
Huh?
She didn't buy a car.
No, she didn't buy a car.
There you go.
Or have to go to the hospital or the drugstores or any of that.
so, Madam Chair, should we
Yes.
shift ourselves a little west to look at some of those challenges?
Yes, but first I want to hear from Randy. He has his hand up.
Oh, sorry.
I do. I didn't realize it,
Yeah.
but thank you for calling me anyway. This thing reads minds. I just had a question, and this is for Chris and Andy, and on your Grand Isle Chittenden district, as I'm looking at it, I see that you've got Alberg in the map that we have. We had Alberg back at Franklin, but the numbers, you know, if we took Alberg out of our map, we would, the numbers are just so different between what you have and what we have. And so my question was, did you take part of Colchester out of your map and put it someplace else?
Yes.
Is that what happened?
Yes, that is
Okay, that
exactly what
explains
happened.
it.
Yeah,
I think it was 1 to 2,000 people from Colchester, and it was a balancing act.
Okay.
Um,
What was the reason for doing? Was it just a balance, or was there some
Yeah.
community reason?
No,
doing
it was to bring the numbers into balance.
Okay.
You know, and I, as I've been saying to people who've been contacting me all weekend, you know, each map that comes out with my name is not like, hey, you know, I'll speak to others. Hey, here's the map I think we should do. It's more like, here's something that works. I tried this, you know, and this falls into that. I would just say, since Senator Brock asked me this question, I've now met with the Chittenden County delegation, and they're about as unified as we are on what to do. So I dutifully took the feedback, but I regret to say I can't just plunk down a consensus map, which doesn't surprise me, but I'll keep trying at it. I definitely heard where people were coming from. There seems to be a real split on whether or not Burlington should be a standalone district. And that's hard to answer in different ways. There's not a lot of compromise between yes and no on that one. So I did get some time with Nick tomorrow morning, and I'll try to get closer and closer to something everybody can live with for there.
Yeah, because the one thing I looked at Colchester, I thought that might have been what happened. And, you know, we made a conscious effort to try to avoid splitting any communities, because that's what always gets controversial when you do it. And with Colchester altogether, you know, you get kind of different numbers for a single member district that's similar to what it is now. So what we wound up doing was splitting Alberg back and attaching it to Franklin. And again, the connection being the bridge between West Swanton and Alberg. And there's no ideal solution. Okay, I just
Yeah,
want to understand because I couldn't make the numbers work otherwise.
Yeah, you either keep the county whole and split the town, or keep the county Grand Isle whole and split the town of Colchester a little bit.
Yeah, those are the
or
options.
kind of, but there is the good news is that, there are a few variables in there that you can move in a way that works depending on what you're aiming to do. So the more I've tried it, the more I get confident, not that of what we should do, but that we have a fair bit of flexibility in terms of, is Alberg here and then Fairfax is here, or vice versa. A little bit of Colchester. The reason it's hard to see on the map is because it's the little strip of Colchester, if I'm remembering, Nick, that's really 40th and Allen, and it's and somebody was telling me it used to be considered the town of Winooski. It is that sort of odd. It's along Route 15 there. When you come out of Essex before you get to Winooski, basically, if you where VPR is and stuff, basically you're driving there and you think you've left Essex and you're in Winooski, but you are for a moment in Colchester. So we're not. The reason I feel somewhat okay about it is you're not cutting up a neighborhood. It is a little bit of an edge of Colchester that at least has that going for it if you have to decide to split.
Okay, I'm going to suggest that I have a bunch of flags here. I have a flag on Windsor, Stowe, maybe Linden, that Linden, Caledonia area. And then we really haven't discussed much about the west side of the state, gotten into that. But I know that at least 4 people have to be done here at 5:30. And so what I'm going to suggest maybe is that we continue to work on maps, and since we'll all be in the State House, I think starting tomorrow again, that we might have the opportunity to just talk with people offline, kind of just to chat, and also suggest that at our 7:30 meeting on Wednesday morning that we be in person, if that works.
Yeah.
And I'm checking with appropriations and finance to see if we can meet in one of those rooms, because they're bigger. Does that make sense? I don't want to cut us off from the discussion, but I want to make sure that we get this done before we have to leave at 5:30. So does that make sense that we would meet in person on Wednesday morning?
Yeah,
Yes.
sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then in the meantime, in the full 24 hours we have before we meet again, that we try and talk a little bit more about these kind of flag points here. But I think that, except if you drew a line from Addison and then just went down to Washington County and then across, or I think that those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 counties are pretty set, except for that one little corner of Windsor. It does seem to me that 5 or 6 counties are pretty settled. And then we have this contentious point around Caledonia, not so much around Washington, depending on what we do with Caledonia, I think.
Yeah.
And then the Franklin, Grand Isle, that what we do up there and then the Chittenden districts.
Yep.
Is that where we are?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we're coming good.
I think so.
Yeah. I think our map though, with Alberg and with Franklin County, we could pretty well, if we could decide on that, we'd be pretty well set in Franklin County as well.
Yeah, that does a lot of Franklin now. There are two towns in Franklin that move. Fletcher goes to Lamoille and Fairfax goes to whatever Chittenden North becomes. And there, that again, we're in the Chittenden County question that Chris and I have talked about as well, of where does Essex go? Does it go to the district to the south or to the district to the north? Which we can talk about.
Right.
Or
but
is it its own?
Yeah, Fletcher could also stay. I mean, there's room with this. with
Fletcher
both of these
conceivably,
maps.
conceivably could stay. It's I've talked back and forth to people in Fletcher. I've talked to Richie as well. And a lot of the orientation does seem to be to the south, because that's where the connection is from a highway standpoint. But so it's something we can talk about.
For which town?
For
Fletcher.
Fletcher. I think Lamoille doesn't, I mean, depending, I think it will be Craftsbury Fletcher. Lamoille doesn't really need Fletcher for numbers. Depending on what we choose to do with Craftsbury.
Right.
Apparently, a lot of the workers at Smugs Smuggler's Notch do in fact live in Fletcher, from what I'm told. So that's another connection.
Sure. When I drive to Smugs, I go through Fletcher, so that makes a lot of sense to me.
Craftsberry should stay up north because
I think they should as well.
Madam Chair,
Yeah.
well, I'm sorry, I don't mean to end that conversation. I was going to move to a different part of the state, but so.
Yep. But I also am going to ask Nick a logistical question about meeting Wednesday morning. First of all, can you meet at 7:30 Wednesday morning again?
Yes.
Okay. And then I don't know if it's more comfortable for you to be in your office manipulating the maps. We have the great big screen in either of those two rooms, or if it's more comfortable for you to be in the room with us, and you can decide that. You don't have to do it now.
Okay, well, I think I can let you know right now. I would certainly prefer to be working in the room with you folks,
Okay.
with the committee during that time, as it would be easier to communicate. But that would be dependent on me having a monitor set up that would let me run Maptitude in a way that would be easy to look at. So how about I would suggest that maybe for this session, I help the committee out from my office via Zoom and work with IT over the next week to get one of those stations set up.
We're
Okay.
going to vote a map on Wednesday, right, Madam Chair?
I'm hoping that we can get at least to a somewhat decision on Wednesday so that we can get something voted out on Friday, if not Wednesday.
Do we have to do the whole state, or can we just do parts that we agree on?
And just leave the rest to fend for themselves.
Bobby, what a nice idea.
All the easy
Okay.
pieces.
Okay, so Chris, where were you going to move to?
I was going back to the Caledonia Essex Orleans challenge and
Okay.
just wanted to I pulled out my LAB alternative map, which turns out to be, it's been a while since I've looked at it, but it turns out to be pretty close to what we've been talking about for Caledonia, if not exact.
Oh, it is.
It is.
And I was wondering, Senator Starr, if you'd spent any time looking at this map recently, because it does divide Essex Orleans into two single seats. So it would be the Kingdom, Caledonia, Essex, and Orleans would be 3 single seat districts. And your affinity for Essex County has been obvious ever since I've known you, but it's a whopping district. And I just wonder, it does sort of solve the Linden challenge, but I just wondered if you've looked at it and might encourage you to. do
No,
that.
just, no, I haven't, and just knowing the area as well as I know it, like the kids from Island Pond,
Yeah,
Brighton, Island Pond, all down through there, they all come to Newport to school. There's a lot of,
right. North Country, right? Yeah.
yeah, and there's a lot of common things that have, all the sports teams, are geared that way. No, I haven't, I just felt that, with knowing the country and knowing the way the school districts work, and things, it's just best to keep that whole rural section together.
Okay.
And I
So,
think
so Bobby,
it would be
Bobby, I
hard,
think, oh, go ahead.
well, it would be hard to split that. I've got to look at their map and see how they did it, because it, if you split it east to west is one issue, but if you split it north and south, it's a totally different issue.
So Bobby, look, I just looked at the alternate plan that was given to us, and if even if you didn't want 3 one-member districts, you could do Essex, Orleans, and that part of Caledonia. Anyway, look at that and see what
Yeah.
you think. And the only thing that they have in there that you probably wouldn't is Walcott, and I don't think that would make much of a difference to.
Well, Linda wants Wilcott to be represented by Richie, remember?
Right.
her?
Right,
No, she wants it in the Lamoille district.
right.
She said that Richie was her representative, and
I realize, but I think we really have to talk about districts and not the people who are representing them at the moment.
Yes, you're right, Senator Clarkson. But anyway, look at that. We should look at that
Yeah.
map again and just see
Yeah. Tomorrow.
what they, yeah, and maybe spend some time looking at it before tomorrow individually. All right, well, we have 1 minute until a couple people are going to turn into pumpkins. So, yes. Did somebody was trying to say something?
Nope.
Okay, so
I guess
All right.
my question is, how was just before we depart, where did you leave it with the Chittenden delegation? Did they trust you as we do to figure it out?
I told them they'll take the map and they'll like it. That's what I said.
good.
I love it. They are going to love this map.
Chris is going to be over on our side of the hall sitting tomorrow sometime, I'm sure.
I may
Well-
need a security detail. We'll see.
Well, I did notice that none of them volunteered to be on this committee, so
Yes,
You can-
they're
we can-
smarter
we
You
can
know
remind
what?
them of
than I
that.
am.
Jeanette, this is a very
Yes.
good point. Had they cared that much, they could have
Yes.
volunteered.
Yes,
No, listen, I don't begrudge them their opinions, and we hope to get their votes. So
we do.
it will be okay. It was not contentious, but it certainly was not a consensus either. We'll get
Okay.
there.
We'll get there.
Those are just a few letters away from each other, contentious and consensus.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
See
you
you
tomorrow.
tomorrow in the building.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bye.